Austria has an empress who wore raw veal on her face every night to stay beautiful. That is the kind of place we are talking about. This is not about Mozart and the mountains. You are about to hear 28 facts that sound fake, absurd, or straight up impossible. But every single one is real. Laws nobody follows, places that should not exist, and truths so bizarre they feel like internet hoaxes. A billion-dollar nuclear plant that never turned on. A village that changed its name because tourists kept stealing the sign, and a battle where the Austrian army fought itself. Let us start with the fact that Austria once tried to make coffins reusable. In the 1780s, Emperor Joseph II decided burial costs were too high. His solution was the reusable coffin. These wooden boxes had trap doors in the bottom. During the funeral, the coffin would be tilted over the grave. The body would slide out through the trap door into the earth, and the coffin would be cleaned and used again. The law passed in 1784, but public outrage was immediate. People rioted, priests refused to cooperate, and within months the emperor quietly repealed the order. The village of Fugging sits in Upper Austria, population around 100. For decades it was called something else, a name so vulgar in English that road signs were stolen constantly. Tourists posed for photos, pranksters made off with the metal markers, and the town spent thousands replacing them. In 2020, the village council voted to change the name to Fugging. The old signs now sell on auction sites for hundreds of euros. Austria takes its flag seriously. Insult the flag in public, and you can face up to 6 months in prison. The law protects national symbols from desecration or mockery. In 2011, Nico Alm walked into a Vienna licensing office wearing a plastic pasta strainer on his head. He claimed it was religious headwear for the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster. Austrian law allows head coverings in official photos if they are required by faith. After 3 years of bureaucratic delays and a psychiatric evaluation, authorities approved the photo. Alm got his license, colander and all. The Battle of Kirin-Sebes in 1788 remains one of the strangest military disasters in history. Austrian forces camped near the town, waiting for the Ottoman army. A group of hussars found a wagon of schnapps and started drinking. When infantry arrived and demanded a share, a fight broke out and someone fired a shot. In the chaos and darkness, soldiers thought the Ottomans had arrived, and entire units began firing at each other. By morning, thousands were dead or wounded. When the real Ottoman army showed up 2 days later, they found the battlefield littered with Austrian bodies. Prostitution is fully legal in Austria, regulated by the government and taxed like any other profession. Workers must register, undergo regular health checks, and pay income tax. Brothels operate openly in Vienna and other cities. The system has been in place since the 19th century. In 2020, a Vienna court upheld a fine of 70 euros for a man who farted in front of police officers. The incident happened during a routine identity check. Officers said the act was deliberate and intended to provoke. The man appealed, arguing it was a natural bodily function. The judge disagreed, ruling that context mattered and the timing was too convenient. Austria passed a law in 2005 that made it illegal to own a single guinea pig. The reason is that guinea pigs are social animals that suffer when kept alone. Pet stores must sell them in pairs. Violators can be fined, although enforcement is rare. The Habsburg family ruled Austria for over 600 years, and their obsession with keeping power within the family left a visible mark. By the 17th century, repeated marriages between cousins and uncles had produced a distinctive facial deformity called the Habsburg jaw. The lower jaw jutted forward so severely that some royals could not chew food properly. The Sound of Music is one of the most beloved films in American history. In Austria, almost no one has seen it. The movie was a box office failure when it premiered in Vienna in 1965. Austrians found the portrayal of their country saccharine and historically inaccurate. Gruner See is a park in Styria, with benches, bridges, and walking paths. Every spring, snowmelt from the surrounding mountains floods the valley, and the park disappears underwater. By June, the lake reaches depths of 12 meters. Divers explore the submerged trails, swimming past trees and benches. By late summer, the water drains away and the park reappears. The cycle repeats every year. The Eisriesenwelt ice cave near Worfen stretches 42 kilometers into the Tennengebirge Mountains, making it the largest ice cave in the world. Inside, temperatures stay below freezing year-round, and massive ice formations cover the walls and floors. Visitors climb steep metal staircases by the light of handheld lanterns, passing frozen waterfalls and ice pillars that have stood for centuries. Austria still requires mandatory military service for all men at age 18. Conscripts serve 6 months in the armed forces, or 9 months in civilian service. Women can volunteer, but are not required to serve. Austria has no national minimum wage. Instead, wages are negotiated by industry-specific unions and employer associations. Collective bargaining agreements cover about 98% of workers, setting minimum pay rates for each sector. A construction worker and a retail clerk have different wage floors, determined by their respective unions. The Austrian flag is one of the oldest national symbols in the world, and its origin story is soaked in blood. According to legend, Duke Leopold V fought in the Battle of Acre during the Third Crusade in 1191. His white tunic was drenched in blood, but when he removed his belt, a white stripe remained. The red-white-red pattern became the basis for the Austrian flag. The flag design has been official since 1230. Tiergarten Schönbrunn in Vienna opened in 1752, making it the oldest continuously operating zoo in the world. Originally built as a menagerie for Emperor Francis I, the zoo housed exotic animals brought from across the Habsburg Empire. Today, it is home to over 700 species, including giant pandas, polar bears, and Siberian tigers. Red Bull, the energy drink empire worth billions, began in a small Austrian town. Dietrich Mateschitz, an Austrian businessman, discovered a Thai energy drink called Krating Dang during a business trip in 1982. He partnered with the Thai company, adapted the formula for Western markets, and launched Red Bull in Austria in 1987. The drink became a global phenomenon. Arnold Schwarzenegger served as a tank driver in the Austrian military in 1965, fulfilling his mandatory service requirement. He was 18 years old and already obsessed with bodybuilding. During his service, he went absent without leave to compete in the Junior Mr. Europe contest in Germany. He won the title, but he spent 1 week in military prison as punishment. Austrian winemakers produce ice wine, a rare dessert wine made from grapes that freeze on the vine. Harvest happens in the middle of winter, often at night when temperatures drop below -7 degrees Celsius. The frozen grapes are pressed immediately, and the ice stays behind, concentrating the sugars and flavors. Vienna is home to the Museum of Contraception and Abortion, the only museum in the world dedicated entirely to the history of birth control. The collection includes ancient herbal remedies, medieval chastity belts, early condoms made from animal intestines, and 20th century contraceptive devices. The museum opened in 2007. Austria abolished all noble titles in 1919 after the fall of the Habsburg monarchy. It is now illegal to use aristocratic prefixes like von or zu, or to use titles such as prince or baron. Former nobles may keep those words as part of their surname, but they carry no legal status. Violators can be fined. The Vienna Boys Choir has performed for over 500 years, making it one of the oldest musical institutions in the world. Founded in 1498 by Emperor Maximilian I, the choir originally sang at the imperial court. Today, the choir tours internationally. The Zwentendorf nuclear power plant cost over $1 billion to build, and it was completed in 1978. It was fully functional, loaded with fuel rods, and ready to generate electricity. Then Austria held a referendum. By a margin of less than 1%, voters rejected nuclear power. The plant never turned on. It sits intact near the Danube, and it is used occasionally for training and for film shoots. Austria has more glaciers than Switzerland. The country is home to over 900 glaciers, most of them in the Alps. The Pastersee Glacier, Austria's largest, stretches 8 kilometers down the slopes of Grossglockner, the nation's highest peak. Vienna has more than 280 imperial balls every year during ball season, which runs from November to February. The most famous is the Vienna Opera Ball. held at the State Opera House. Tickets can cost thousands of euros, and debutantes in white gowns open the evening with a choreographed waltz. Austria is one of the few countries in the world where you can legally drive at 16. Learner drivers can get behind the wheel with a licensed adult at 15 and a half, and full licenses are available at 18. Hofburg Palace in Vienna has 2,600 rooms. It served as the winter residence of the Habsburg emperors for over 600 years. Today, it houses museums, government offices, and the official residence of the Austrian president. Only a fraction of the rooms are open to the public. Austria's strangest truths hide in laws nobody repeals, places nobody questions, and facts that sound fake until you verify them. If you want more unbelievable stories from Europe, subscribe now, drop your favorite fact in the comments, and watch the Switzerland episode next.